All rise for the pledge, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comment? Hearing none, why don't we just, we'll take time and the union reps can wait a little while, but do you have just in general anything that you need to cover from your various committees? And then we'll go into the...
I told you what.
Okay, yeah, we'll have an exec session or a closed session after this. Do you have anything?
They were down last Monday and did the study on the courthouse, so I'm waiting, in the next couple of weeks, probably have a written proposal of what we need to do with things. That's pretty much it.
Dan, do you have anything from your departments? John?
I just told you about it.
I know, that's fine. Carl? And you're fine? I know you got one bid in and we're still waiting for another one.
Yeah, I was just gonna check and see,
All right.
review the status on that.
I gave you the budget, the existing budget. I do have a tentative projection about what will be after all expenditures and the income comes in. And it depends a lot on this new accounting system, but it should be a rough, should be roughly plus 75,000. In other words, we'll spend 75,000 less than what we budgeted.
Well, so overtime looks like it might be a little bit less than last year. I just added to that. Still have, what, 2 months left?
Yep.
Okay, so you're looking at the current year, 2017?
Yeah, I'm only
Okay.
looking at the current year, 2017.
And
Okay?
you expect to end positive
Positive by about,
for fiscal year 17.
but there's
I get
still
it.
things can happen.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
But you keep asking and I figured I'd,
Well, yeah, I just wanted to see where we're at. So, help me out here. For the 17 budget, we did have a line item to pay off some of our debt, right?
yes, we did.
To the tune of,
110.
so potentially it could be, best case, 185 that goes to it.
No.
That's not including, yeah,
That would be,
So-
instead of 110, that would be 75.
yeah.
Okay?
So at the end of the year, if we have whatever is left, that goes towards.
I just assumed if we budgeted the 110, that was already taken out.
I'm talking about
Silly.
expenditures. Okay, I go through everything and figure what we're gonna spend and,
Excuse me for trying to inject some sunshine into your life, Carl.
well, now that we've had that nice little discussion. As far as the budget, we need to, a lot of that's tied to what we're doing, Andy, Carl, and I, and we wanna, and to be frank, it has to do with negotiations and things like that. So that has a direct bearing on some of the budget items, okay? So, and we need to, is the sheriff gonna be, is he back around? I kinda expected him to see him today, because we've got that negotiation session at 10:30. One of the things I did talk to Augie about, and he hasn't gotten back to me, was setting up a budget like Dina did in her 800 fund. Augie has an 800 fund that we could budget for the election equipment. In other words, we can budget for income from state, okay, and we do not know what that is, so we could put $1 in there right now. $1, just to hold that right. And then we could have another income item on debt certificates to finance it instead of through that company, which would give us a much better rate of return. And then we could budget in what, in discussions with Augie, what he would like to expend this year. And quite frankly, Augie, correct me on all this if
You're doing good. Keep going.
okay, and Augie has already told us, or me, and I'm not sure who all's aware of this, but he kind of wants to get through the spring election and kind of head into the year to see where everything's at. We might get a better idea of what the state participation is. I mean, it's not like on December 2nd, he's gonna go out and spend 50 grand or sign this.
Right.
We kind of want to see where we're at on this thing. And then the general fund in the future, through his either income from the state as far as this system, or we can put into his budget payment of the death certificates as they go, making it much more palatable than what they might otherwise be. Did I explain that so everybody can understand it?
I thought you did.
Okay.
Yep.
I just want to make sure every board member understands what
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
State Board of Elections really doesn't know, they know there's gonna be some money coming, they don't know the dollar amount. And we were told maybe February, we would have a much better idea. So that's why I'm gonna hold off, and I'm gonna go through the spring election with my existing equipment, and we'll see.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I don't think I've asked you this before, just as another option for us. Would it put undue stress on upkeep if we did a refit or get new machines in stages? Or is that gonna cause problems as far as multiple different machines to take care of? I'm just trying to throw out other options. If, like, let's say the state's monies are less than we're
Mm-hmm.
expecting, can we get, say, how many machines do you have total? 12, something like that?
Well, yeah, 10 voting centers, plus some spares.
Right.
Yeah, so say 15.
Okay, so could you do, say, 5 a year, and, or is there just the rate of new machines such that would cause problems for us?
Well, that's a good question. And
just
I don't
wanted to throw
see,
that out, and I'm not,
I don't see any problems with that. I just haven't considered that yet.
like I said, I don't know if there's, if you gotta train people on multiple machines, that causes a problem. If, there's upkeep is such that maintaining 2 separate types of machines would cause a problem. I don't know when the next, we go from Manatron to, the T9000 or
Don't
whatever.
start that again.
Right, right. The only
Yeah.
thing that I can think of would be purchasing them all together, we might get a much better
Sure,
deal.
yeah, I just,
So.
And the training curve may be different. It may be better and more economical to train everybody together. I don't know.
Good question. Let me check with my vendor and see
Yeah.
what his thoughts are on that.
and like I said, if in the next year or two, they're gonna have a whole new machine, then that doesn't make sense for us either. Like, there's a lot of factors, but if that's an option, I'd certainly like to know that.
There's an effort now, you can see it, you can hear it. A lot of counties are pushing for money for new equipment because we're all in the same boat. Everybody's equipment's, well, I say that, but in general.
With your permission, Augie and I'll work up that into a hard copy on the 800 and adjust the regular budget. So,
So,
go ahead,
you were
please.
saying something about the sheriff, were you talking about the sheriff changing his budget to something similar to Augie's initially?
We want to talk to, yes, we want to talk to, and please, I'm only one of the 3. We want to talk to the sheriff about some specific items in the budget that we have questions about and work it out with it.
So
Is that correct?
yes. The desire is to basically get rid of some of these kind of like fluff accounts and basically break it down into what are your necessary, what do you know you're gonna spend on certain necessities, and then the rest goes into an 800 fund, and if you deplete that, as far as, I'm just trying to figure out what the strategy is, and is that just a bookkeeping thing? Is that trying to keep him
No.
closer to on
No,
budget?
we're not talking about an
What?
800 fund with the sheriff.
Oh,
We're
that's
talking-
what you started with.
No, I was talking about Augie, and I may have said, now, as far as equipment, like the 25,000 and the 55% for the new vehicle, that's something we may do. But we have to look at quite frankly, the employment lines, big time, okay?
Yeah.
And that's about all there is that we can look at, right?
Well, yeah.
I mean, there's 5,000 here or 1,000 here, but I mean,
You know, it's not
if,
gonna save
granted that we come to this, Augie and I can get things worked out, we're still talking about a deficit spending of roughly 100 grand, okay? And part of that may be, once we get all of the signups for the insurance, we can get those numbers hardened up, okay?
Do we get spouses kicked off the, do we do that?
I don't think.
We did not.
And did
We
you
did
get
not.
the-
Because we just didn't, or we can't?
We can. However, there is one that pleaded not to get rid of it. And I don't think there's anybody, I haven't heard anybody else say one way or the other.
How many spouses do we have?
One maybe, one or two.
One's a,
The issue being, and
they're
if,
both not, they don't cost us anything.
if it doesn't affect anybody else, then I don't care.
Right.
But if we're hurting our employees by having spouses cover the plan, and I don't know what the status is of the one employee that pleaded, do they know,
Yes, they know, they've been out there.
they've looked at? and with
Absolutely.
the-
I
okay,
looked
then-
into that, and I'm just aware of one, is all I'm aware of.
And if that's actually the case and this would hurt them, and no one else really cares, then I say maintain the status quo.
Well, that's the way I proceeded
Okay.
there.
Okay.
That's the way I got
Fair
it from you that
question,
one
we
day.
we all need to know that.
Yeah.
Good question.
Okay. I'll drop it.
How soon will we have all of the insurance information in and so that we can see where we're at?
Well, I would say by these and whatever we're gonna find out at our next meeting, it would be helpful to know.
So
I think those are all back in.
we haven't got all the sheriff's department employees back?
At the end of last week, there were just a couple hanging out there. And I don't know if that was because they were off or what the deal is, but I know there were only a couple left. Other than that, we've got 98, 99% of them in.
Okay.
And we can I'll get you a firm number.
Tomorrow?
I should have a firm number tomorrow.
That would be excellent, or whatever you have. So,
What was did we get that changed over with the date of the plan? Did we get that changed as well?
yeah,
Not yet, no, we haven't done that, no.
Are we still trying to get that done?
Well, we haven't talked about that as a group, have we? Not yet.
we've talked about it, but
Off and on in the past, but
so you'll know, we were thinking about, and we had discussed moving the plan date currently, the annual renewal date from October 1st to January 1st, to see what that would be better for the plan, for economic planning. But I don't know that Kirk says that's possible, but I don't know what the costs are associated with doing that.
Is he working on those costs?
I don't know.
he's waiting on us to say, go. Now, the possible downside would be cost based upon they're gonna look at our claims history.
Would,
And it could be, in other words, Derek,
I'm
October,
tracking.
November, December, they'll go back 3 more months.
my question is, if he looks at that, what that would cost us to change the dates of the plan, could that, if we decide not to do that, could that affect our bids now because of that look back? Does that make sense? The fact that they're looking back that far for option B, could that affect option A pricing? Because if not, then I would tell him just to do it now, you know?
Right.
If that doesn't have any cost to us, then why would we hold off, you know?
Right, but if we say, go ahead and do it, and it comes back
Negative.
exorbitant price increase,
Mhm.
and we say, no, we don't wanna do that,
Doesn't work.
is that gonna affect where we've already started October 1st?
Right. If that's not the
My-
case, then
I'll find that out.
Do we
And-
have it without, obviously naming, do we have any issues that we're currently experiencing that anybody's aware of.
Well, it'll be back, it would be back, is it close to the boat or farther away than what they're gonna look at? It would be closer, right? It would be last 2 months.
Without,
Makes sense.
without holding me to this, I believe Kirk said they were, like June, they cut it off
Mhm.
to prepare things for us for October. So he said it's gonna be more like June, July, and August would be those months. Now, that's approximate.
We
So,
have had a
Did
deputy
he give you any
hospitalized.
indication of what the turnaround is on that? I mean, it's
That's
any
a-
4 months of lead time.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
can
gonna be
he-
back
can he-
every 6 months,
I-
maybe a year. That's what they're saying.
Can
I'll
you-
find out.
Yeah,
I guess if you ask him that question and everybody's okay with it, if you ask him that question, it's not gonna change our current bid to go ahead and have him do that.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Is everybody okay with that?
I'm sorry,
Mhm.
I was talking.
So
Okay.
if all you ask Kirk, if he looks into that other pricing and it in no way will affect our current bid, is everybody good with him going ahead and
Yeah,
running that?
yes, I think so.
Okay,
It will also help the employee keep track of their deductible.
well, and we've
Help us
talked
too, right?
Right.
that even if it costs us a little bit more to change it, I would be willing to do that because it's gonna have long-term savings and reduced
Well,
headaches
it's
and
gonna go
everything
year
else.
to year too, it's for 2 months.
Right,
one year,
yeah, so I
2
mean,
months.
as long as it's not exorbitant, I would, you know, an increase would not necessarily mean I wouldn't be going for it.
Okay,
Got it.
we're clear on that one then.
Stop interjecting.
No, you're. So that's where we're at on the budget. I mean, here's Jeff. You've had the budget, and anytime I know several of you called me with questions, and I appreciate it. And I'll take whatever time you have individually. Otherwise, if we talk about it collectively, we have to do it
I'm just, my committee, but I've mentioned you, we do have a private donor for dog food.
Yeah.
Up through half of the next year. And we'll try ask for donations. So maybe get Gary, put something in the paper to the fact we have a private donor and we'd like to have more donors, that way we wouldn't have to buy
I don't know
dog
if I would, I would just put out there, we were looking for
Yeah,
donors.
right,
you
right,
know.
right. We do have one for half the years.
Maybe we could put you in like a dog costume and like put you
I
outside
had to
Walmart.
fight the cat the other day, so I lost.
What were you doing to the cat?
I'm
Yeah.
gonna get it fixed.
You gotta stop wearing a cat.
You were right.
Right.
I'll put that in the paper.
Hopefully, we'll have some more information to you tomorrow after our meetings today, okay? Do we want to move into the closed session of the meeting at this point?
It won't be, if it's for me, it won't be very long, if that's.
No, it's just,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
I would like.
We need to go in for negotiations and for
Litigation.
pending litigation.
Litigation.
Right.
Okay.
Do I hear a motion? Derek moves, Andy seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. So we'll go into a closed session here directly. Gary, do you have any questions of anybody?
Bye, Gary.
About a gallon of water.
Well, okay, we're back in open session.
We're back in open session, no further business to come to the study session. I entertain a motion to adjourn. Derek and Andy, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you guys for your time and your energy.
Well, I'm gonna go home.
Except you,
before I
Brenda.
go,